Hey guys, it's time for language. Your comic was due today, but in Mrs. Bush's confusion with dates, I had said Wednesday, but I used Thursday's dates, and then vice versa. So, it is due today, but if it is not done, you have won the lottery, and you have an extra day, and I will accept it tomorrow with no late penalties. Okay? No hidden fees. Alright? So you have until tomorrow, 9 a.m., if it's not done yet. Okay? You guys have a vocabulary today on parts of speech. Okay, it's going to have lots of different parts of speech mixed up together because remember, we need to be able to start recalling some of that information we've learned all the way back from August, okay, and getting ready for iLearn. Your book. You should have your notebook here now, okay? I do not want you using your notebook yet, okay? Because we kind of want our notebook to be fancy and look nice, okay? So, in your language notebook or just a scrap piece of paper, your only thing that I want you to do for your book tonight or today during school study time is I want you to decide what is your topic, okay? Remember, you can't be writing a book about this haunted mansion and then your book is going to be about this romance between these high school students. Okay? You guys know I love my romance books. Okay? So, if you're doing a spooky, scary story about a haunted mansion, then stick with that. Okay? If you're doing sci-fi and you're doing aliens because Mimi loves aliens, okay, then stick with that. Okay? If you want to write another book when we're done because you really want to do the haunted mansion, but you really want to write a romance book, then do the romance book next, or pick, do the haunted mansion next, okay? But you gotta pick one for right now. Your only job today, pick a topic. What's gonna be your book? Okay? I don't mind any genre as long as it's school appropriate. School clean words that we're using in our book, okay? And school appropriate topics. Okay? The books that I might be reading or Mrs. Long might be reading might not be the books that are appropriate for you guys. Okay? You are writing a book that is appropriate for 5th grade. Okay? Even if you have older siblings that are high schoolers, again, the books they're reading are not going to be appropriate probably for your group. Okay? Appropriate for your age kind of book.
What if, let's just say, doing a haunted house, and then you want there to be romance in there or something?
No, that's a good point. So she said, what if you're doing a haunted house, but there is kind of a romance love story within the haunted house, these people that are at the haunted house. That's fine because your main plot then might not be about the haunted house. It's just that your setting is at the haunted house, but your real main plot is going to be that love story that's happening at the haunted house. That's fine. Okay? So you can have aliens as your characters and have the setting at a haunted house. Okay? So do you see how you still kind of combine them if you wanted to? Okay? But don't be going off on a big tangent about the haunted house if you're trying to do a romance book. Okay?
Are you allowed to, are your friends allowed to, give you ideas?
Are your friends allowed to give you ideas? Yes. Remember, we are not going to plagiarize, though, and use ideas that are already existing, ideas that we're researching and finding online. Your friends can give you ideas, but don't copy verbatim. You guys can discuss. It's great to discuss. Mrs. Long and Mrs. Bush discuss all the time and collaborate on things all the time. And you kind of bounce ideas off together, okay? Just make it your own, though.
I was going to wonder if we could also, partner or something.
No, not partner making a book. You can talk about ideas, share your ideas as you're going through the process, but you're doing your own. Everybody's going to do their own.
Can we choose a title?
Can you choose a title? Yes, we're just not doing it yet. Okay? So all I want down is kind of 1 to 3 sentences. My book is going to be about a romance story at a haunted mansion. Okay? I don't want a title. I don't want 2 words. Give me 1 to 3 sentences. My book is going to be about blank. Okay? We're going to give our book a title, just not yet.
Lastly, so you know how you said a romantic book, let's just say I wanted to do
No.
Not making the title now. Like,
No, you can't base off of a show.
no, it's
She
not.
asked, what if I do a romance book, but I base it off of a show that's already existing? No, because that's going to be copying then. Okay? You cannot take a book, a show, a movie, and continue it on. So even though it would be your own, and you're kind of extending it into the future, that idea already exists. So I know we've talked about, you've told me about the Vampire Diaries. Okay, you can't take the Vampire Diaries story and just continuing it on, even though that's your own idea now that you're continuing that plot and what those characters are doing. But the Vampire Diaries already exists. That's already its own thing. That's not to say that you couldn't, if you like vampires, you could write about vampires, but you have to make a whole new plot, all new characters, all new setting. It cannot be copied off of Vampire Diaries. Okay, does that make sense? Now, somebody has asked before, could I have Godzilla in my story as a character? Not a main character. He's there, maybe he's in an action scene, okay? I'm going to say I don't mind if you do that. If you were a true, real author and you're going to decide to do this as a professional, you couldn't do that without getting permission from the people who created Godzilla. You would have to ask them for rights to be able to use Godzilla in your book, in your movie, in your show, whatever you were doing. And then they would let you know, oh, yes, that's fine, no. A lot of times you would have to pay some money. They would go, oh, yeah, it's fine. You could use Godzilla in this fighting scene right here, but we're going to charge you $10,000 to use Godzilla in that scene right there. You're talking about famous people, movies and stuff. So you got a lot of money. Yeah, they're rich. It's a lot of money. Okay, so for our books that we're doing in 5th grade, I don't mind, like I said, if you use a character that already exists, but I do not want it to be a main character. I do not want it to be the main part of your story. It can come for a scene, like Godzilla can come for a scene, but then that's it. Okay? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Same thing for a setting. Okay, if you want to use a setting that's maybe fictional and you want to use it, that's fine, but not as your main part of your book. Okay? Be creative. I want original. Malia.
Could you like you know how like actors how they have like different names in movies and stuff?
How actors have different, like actors don't use their real names, they have a different name. Yeah.
Could we like use like their real names?
Could you use the actor's real name? Yes, but not as a main character. So if you wanted to have Brad Pitt star in your book, you could have him star in your book, but I don't want Brad Pitt as a main character because I want you coming up with your own names and own characters. Okay, yes, he's a real person, he really exists, but use some creativity. Okay? Yes.
2 things. One thing, can I borrow like $1,000?
Can you borrow $1,000? No.
And my other thing was I needed the money so I could go ask the people who made Vampire Diaries so I can make a book for them.
All right, guys, any more questions? Okay, so comic book, if it wasn't already done, what is your book going to be about? 1 to 3 sentences and a vocabulary on parts of speech. Everybody good?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead and get started.